What's not to watch? They're the best at what they do, and I'm the best at what I do, and together it's like, it's on.
In case some of you wonder who the best is, they're up here on this plaque on the wall.
You sure you're ready for this?
I'll do my best.
Your best? Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and the prom queen.
Here we go, boys and girls. It's the best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. Live Wednesday. This is an experimental podcast. Let's just call it that. We'll call
it's like the college days of us, when you try just about anything.
Yes, we're going through our college years here at the Best Soccer Show.
If that's the case, 3 dudes is an odd thing to have on the line right now.
Okay, you just made it weird already. Why'd you have to do that? We're not.
When don't I make it weird?
No, I know. It's the earliest J Rodius in the history of the show. We are live ahead of USA-Panama, and the way that we're doing this tonight, because the game is smack in the middle of our window, so we're going to do a 30-minute live pregame show. We've got Matt from the Shin Guardian. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hey, got to pull in a guy from San Francisco for 3 guys.
See, look, now we've got a theme. I wasn't thinking we were going to do this, but now we have a theme.
Not the theme you wanted, I don't think, either. Yeah,
we got the 30-minute pregame show. We're going to talk to Matt here in a minute about Panama and the lineup and everything else. We've got a 15-minute halftime show we're doing, and then we're going to do 30 minutes postgame. So you guys stay tuned for that on NASN.TV. But let's get right into this. We don't have any time to waste. Matt's here. We've got lineups. We've got a decent opponent. We've got a Central American locale. Matt, tell me first of all what you make of Jurgen Klinsmann's lineup. I mean, I don't know if I should run it down for the people. Should we do that, Jared? Should we run it down?
Yeah, real quick. This is real quick.
Do you have it in front of you? Because I have it not.
I do have it in front of me. From back to front, you have Nick Raimondo replacing Bill Hamid. De La Garza, Parkhurst, and Cameron. 3 of the same back 4 from last time, with Zach Lloyd coming in for Heath Pierce. Midfield of Zuzi, Clark, Jones, and Shea, and Wondolowski and Bunbury up top. So, Matt, my first question to you. This isn't a 4-3-2-1. What's up?
Yeah, I don't think it is. I mean, if you remember last time when they played Panama, they bunkered in even more so than countering. So, I think that addition of Wando is because it's for that reason. He gets open in little spaces. So that's the challenge against Panama, is actually finding the little space, and that's something actually Josie Altidore didn't do well the first time. So I think that's his addition into the lineup specifically. But you also need somebody if you're playing out of the back yourself and you want to have some speed, so you keep Bunbury up there as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the midfield. I think Graham Zuzi will probably pinch in a little bit more from that right-hand side. And if you remember the Slovenia game, you probably have Brett Shea playing the Fabian Johnson role.
So, Matt, of the 3 guys that are in the lineup that weren't in last time, Lloyd, I'm blanking, Wondolowski, and Clark, who of those 3, are any of them reactions from the game previous, or do any of those guys that they replaced do anything wrong, or do you think this is just Klinsmann trying to get a different look?
No, I think you guys hit on the head, and I think for a fan they should be pretty excited about it. I mean, first of all, Lloyd is a great stand-up one-on-one defender, and something we pointed out in our review is that Heath Pierce was really tardy in his just fundamental defense on Saturday night against a very weak Venezuela side. He kept them on sides at least 3 or 4 times, even though it didn't possess really too much of a danger, and he was generally actually out of position. And maybe not his fault because he doesn't play left back anymore, but he certainly fundamentally wasn't sound in that position, and he didn't offer too much going forward. So I thought Lloyd would come in. I thought he might come in for De La Garza, who actually probably played better and, maybe a little bit out of his depth at the right back position. So there's Lloyd, and I think he's in because Pierce actually didn't have a great game Saturday night. And actually, with Fieldhopper as well, that's a player who you could use to unlock a defense like Panama. But, he threw a few hissy fits. He's got a history of it as well. And he was generally negligent on defense on Saturday night as well. So I actually think it's Klinsmann making a statement and saying, look, you guys got to put the team first, and you got to do the fundamentals first. And you didn't do it against essentially a B-minus team, and we're playing a harder team. So, I'm going to give these guys looks. So
essentially, are we looking at a better version of what they saw against Venezuela on the weekend? Panama is getting it together, and then they play a similar style, but they're going to be more effective with it.
Yeah, I think, I'm a huge fan of their coach, Julio, I think Deli Valdez. I think he keeps that Deli in there for that. But he's Panama's leading scorer all time as a player. He's played over in Europe. He's played for Malaga. He's played for PSG, I think. PSV. But he is a fantastic coach, and he was well prepared for Bob Bradley last time. I think he'll be well prepared for Jurgen Klinsmann. His teams have this defensive discipline you don't normally see in CONCACAF teams. And so I think, that, and then you got a lot of skill with Sanchez, Quintero, with the two forwards, Perez, Renteria. So a much better team that the U.S. is playing this time.
Hey, Matt, I've seen some people out there tipping Panama as maybe as the dark horse for that third World Cup spot. They did really well during qualifying last time, gave the U.S. the run for their money a number of the times recently when they've played against each other. Do you think Panama's a legitimate threat to the Costa Ricas and the Hondurases and CONCACAF now?
Yeah. I think, after the U.S. and Mexico, it's anybody's game. And like I said, I think the coach of Panama is fantastic. I think he could be the best coach in the region, and he's just starting to make a name for himself. They did fantastic in group qualifying in 2011, 13-goal differential. And, if you can get a team to buy into a defensive philosophy and you still have some of that attacking prowess, when you come back for those CONCACAF qualifiers, you're much better off than folks that are just kind of coming in there and don't have that same structure. So, I think Panama is going to be a handful, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get that berth. And again, I think the world of the coach.
Back to the U.S. lineup for just a second. We obviously saw Ricardo Clark and Jermaine Jones in the game together against Venezuela, but they're starting tonight. So that's obviously a commitment to what exactly? What is Klinsmann trying to get done with those two midfielders together?
Yeah, there you got me. There, I think you got a big question. I mean, Jones is obviously playing more of the linking midfielder.
Right.
He demanded a lot of the ball on Saturday nights, but he's not in that traditional sort of Bob Bradley role where, he used to, Michael Bradley used to, sort of filter the players to him, and he used to kind of clean them up, right, on defense. He's more going to play higher up the field, and he's going to link a little bit more with Zuzi. But, that's what's interesting to me. If you bring in a player who's on the periphery there, who's, a little bit past his prime, in these games, and you really want to see somebody a little bit younger who's going to contribute in that role. Maybe he just doesn't think there's anybody in that role and wants a stopgap, but, and Clark will play, the cover over the defense, and I think that's just speed. I think what Clark has probably showed in practice, and I haven't witnessed it, but he's probably showed some discipline in playing the role that Laurentowicz played, and frankly, he's a better player than Laurentowicz. So, if he showed that in practice, it's probably a good game for him to showcase himself and see how, and that's what you want to see about Ricardo Clark. He was never that disciplined under Bob Bradley, and if he can play disciplined under Klinsmann, that's actually a positive for the coach. So that's something to look at tonight. How Clark plays actually tells you about how Klinsmann is as a coach.
Matt, let's talk Wando for a second. One of the additions from the last game is Wando takes a lot of heat for being too old to really help this team anymore. First question to you is he too old? And secondly, is he really the only option in the U.S. pool for a target striker?
Well, I don't think he's too much of a target striker. If you remember last year, he got manhandled when he was kind of up top all by himself. I think what you look at him as is working in tandem with another forward, and kind of like I said before, he does really well at moving in small spaces, and that's a big thing because you have a lot of players like Breck Shea who needs like a little bit of space to open up, right? Even on the senior side, Clint Dempsey dominates the ball and he takes a lot of dribbles with it, right? So whether Wando plays at the next level for the U.S. or not, he's got a unique skill set in that respect, and that you can put him on the field and he'll find. He'll do the off-ball movement, and he'll find the spot to be open that will pull the defense. And I think people miss that about him. He's definitely not international caliber from a physical perspective, and I think that's a shame. But from a soccer mentality perspective and a movement perspective, he's excellent.
Well, that's our problem, right? Trying to get a guy that's got both of those things together at the exact same time. We've got the physical part like with Josie, but we can't get the mental understanding of the game to come together at the same time. Matt, one game in, obviously we've got this game tonight. At this point, what do you, if you were Jurgen Klinsmann, what would you be thinking about these guys? Which of these guys are you looking at as possible contributors in qualifying? which of them are going to be sliding out and probably we won't be seeing again for a while, and which guys are really, really impressing here?
Good question. Well, first, I think it's telling that he's playing Jeff Cameron at left center back, right? And that's not his dominant foot. So, he knows that Tim Ream's not ready yet. Maybe Tim Ream will show a little bit better at Bolton. So I think that is a signal right there that he's going to be on the senior side competing right after Bocanegra for that slot right there. I think you might see Lloyd in the mix a little bit depending on how he does tonight. It's certainly a big test for him, so that's something to look at as well. I don't know who you see in the midfield too much. Maybe Jones actually improved his worth a little bit on Saturday night. You got to see how he plays tonight. He was very weak with his first touch on Saturday. And I think unless Fieldhopper has a good game tonight, I don't think you're going to see him for World Cup qualifying because he's just with his on-field antics and the fact that he's not a good defender, he's just not worth putting the effort into at this stage in his career. So I think he really hurt himself in my opinion Saturday night. And if he doesn't have a good game tonight, I think, it's going to be a come-to-Jesus moment for him where, he's either going to be in qualifying or not. It's going to be his decision.
Matt, let's assume you're Klinsmann once again. You're down 1-0 at the half. You're coming in at a halftime. Who's the first sub off the bench for you if you need to change this offense? Is it Feilhaber or is it Sapong?
You only give him two options?
I think it's
there's not much offense on that bench.
Panama's playing, right? And how they're breaking it down. So it's a little difficult, to guess it before the game. If Panama's sitting back and then the U.S. is not really pressuring them and, they're and having difficulty breaking down, I think you could see Fieldhopper. If the game is opening up a little bit more, I think Jones is going to be capable in that role, and then he can put Sapong in there, right? By and large, how Bunbury plays and Wanda plays will tell you if Sapong comes in or not, right? If any of those guys have a weak game, I think Sapong will be used more as this guy isn't doing his job as opposed to I really need to get a goal. So, if you had asked me that question, I'd probably say Fieldhopper is probably the best answer just because of his experience.
So you got a prediction for us, Matt? Who's going to win this game?
Oh, geez. I'm going to say in this game, I'm going to say I'm going to say 1-1 draw.
Okay, so you're taking the easy way out.
What's that?
You're taking the easy way out.
Is that the easy way out?
Well,
all right, I'll go with Panama too. I'll go with Panama 1-0.
Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. And if that happens, we're talking about a serious fallout, or is it just kind of it's okay? It's Central America. It's a tougher opponent. These are still our B guys, C guys. We're okay.
Well, there's two ways to look at it. I think it's great to get results. In reality, the Panama team that they're playing is pretty strong. It's about two-thirds of the team that played the Gold Cup. And the U.S. has difficulty with that with the senior side. So this is a great game to watch for a fan and see exactly how far Klinsmann's coaching has become. Because they were such a hard team to break down for the Gold Cup. So I think that's what you want to look at is, does the U.S. control the run of play? Do they dictate the rate of play to the opponent at all? And do they not make defensive miscues? I think regardless of score, if you can answer those two things positively at the end and you think they had good performances in terms of forward ball movement and not making defensive lapses, I think that's a huge win for the team regardless of the outcome. Because one thing I always think is that the barometer of success for a team offensively should be chances created,
right,
especially for a team like the U.S. that doesn't have great finishers, right?
Right.
So measure the U.S. tonight on chances created as opposed to goals, and I think that's a good way to look at it.
All right, so this is what you do. You listen to us for the pregame. You go over to the ShinGuardian.com, joining the live commentary over there with Matt and friends. You come back for the halftime show, et cetera, and so forth. Thanks very much for your time, Matt. We appreciate it.
I got a question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
So, Ramzuzi, does he look like Encino Man, or is that just me?
If he lets the hair down, I think you got something going there.
I just saw him. It just rings Brendan Fraser to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. It's Brendan Fraser. Right?
Extra points for any 90s movie brought up on the show.
Sure, yeah. Even though that's a Pauly Shore movie, right?
And a Pauly Shore movie with a DeLuise brother in it. That's 90s gold.
How do you even know this stuff? Thanks for your time, Matt.
All right, man.
We'll talk to you guys.
Have a good day. Enjoy the game.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later. All right, so Matt from the Shin Guardian, theshinguardian.com. Make sure you go over there, check it out. I'm sure he will have a review of the game up fairly shortly, and maybe in the morning. I mean, it's going to be late.
He's on it.
Actually, it's going to be early for you guys out in the West Coast. I'm the one that's got to stay up late for this stuff.
It's worth it, dude. It's worth it. But I got a question for you. This is something that's going around in the chat room here that a lot of guys were picking their 3 players with the most chance of breaking into the senior team from this roster right now.
Okay.
Take Jones out of it, obviously. 3 players with the best chance so far that you've seen. And we'll ask the same question after the game, and let's see if we change our minds.
Michael Parkhurst, Jeff Cameron. I'm going to have to go with both center backs. And I don't know. Let's see. Obviously, Shea's already in the mix. I don't think Wando's got it. Teal. We considering Teal a senior player at this point already?
I don't think so. No, he's still in the U23s. He's not getting enough caps. I don't think you can consider him. He's a bubble player.
I hate to do it. I think I have to go with all defenders. Parkhurst, Cameron, and Zach Lloyd probably. I mean, I agree with Matt.
I think I'm gonna go Parkhurst, Cameron, and Sapong. Even though I don't have much to base it on, I think that he brings a different dimension that we don't really have.
CJ Sapong is the X factor. You're in love with the X factor. You like that whole. I don't really know what it is. He's just so exciting, and he's got all this potential.
I love Simon Cowell. What can I say?
Nah, I see. You had to go with that. I wasn't even going to go down that road. We are live, as mentioned. We are on the phone, 201-430-BEST. We are on Skype, Best Soccer Show. We'll take your calls pregame. If you got any thoughts, things you're looking for in this game, things thoughts on the lineup, thoughts on the formation, which is a little bit of a change. I think both of us would agree that 2 forwards is the way to go, especially if you're trying to break down the team. Maybe Klinsmann didn't know Venezuela was going to be as negative as they were on Saturday, but he knows
there's no chance Panama comes out as negative as Venezuela did,
no,
right?
Not at home. I don't think so. Not at home. So I don't know. I mean, it's a balance, right? It's trying to.
Well, one thing I'm really looking forward to is that you're going to see Jeff Cameron and Michael Parkhurst tested much more against a player like Blas Perez than Alejandro Moreno was ever going to. Let's be honest. Alejandro Moreno is a good MLS player. He's getting up there. He's a veteran. He probably doesn't have a whole lot of years left with him. Right. Great player. I like Alejandro Moreno, but Blas Perez is a different beast.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. I don't know. We pushed Matt. He gave us a Panama win, and he pointed out that probably more important than goals is chances created. We saw some chances in the Venezuela game. It wasn't dire by any stretch of the imagination. I thought it was a fine game. I've heard a lot of people complaining about that game. It was boring. I didn't think that was the case necessarily. I expect we'll see something fairly similar tonight, although with less space for the U.S. to work with. Panama's not going to just back off like Venezuela did and let them come charging into the attacking zone. So it's gonna be interesting. I want to see the chances. I want goals. I mean, I'm not going to be upset if they don't score, but I'm going to be. I'm going to be annoyed still. We need to score a couple times in a game so we can feel better about this. Not wait to the 97th minute, right?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a valid point. Question for you: what do you have to see from Ricardo Clark in this game to really say that he's back? Is there anything he can do in a game against this level of competition in a B-level team that's really going to tell you that he belongs back in the first team again?
He's got to be playing on a club level, right? I mean,
that's true.
That's my thing with Ricardo Clark. I know he's a decent enough player. I mean, he's got the big mistake hanging over his head in the World Cup. I know he can play. I have no doubts about that, but it hasn't happened on the club level, right? So until he is getting consistent minutes, and that's why it was so weird that he was even called into this camp, right? So maybe Klinsmann is giving him, doing him a solid and getting him a look so that he will get picked up by somebody who will actually play him, rather than rotting in Germany the way he is now. But I think that's what it is. I think. But we're stacked. We're stacked at that position, right? And if Klinsmann is in love with Beckerman as he seems to be, where is Clark fade into that?
Yeah, I think let's run down the defensive midfielder depth. I mean, you have Bradley number 1, right? I think both of us agree.
Well, we agree on that, but I'm not sure Jurgen Klinsmann agrees with us.
No, I'm saying, but this is our show.
Sure,
Klinsmann.
Sure, okay.
So,
yes,
I would say Bradley number 1.
Yes, in the imaginary world of the Best Soccer
2.
Show team. Yes. Okay, Jones, Adu, Beckerman. I'm not ranking them. I'm just listing them.
No, but I think all those ones you listed right there are still above Clark, right?
Yeah, that would put him 5th at least in that depth chart.
Yeah, so I mean, what really are you going to learn about Ricardo Clark unless he's playing at the club level consistently that you're going to get from this game? I don't think not much. He's 5 people deep at least.
Well, and you've got Jeff Larinowitz in this camp, and I don't know that Klinsman rates Jeff Larinowitz higher than Ricardo Clark, but they are getting equal time. I mean, Clark Larinowitz comes off for Clark on Saturday. I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but Clark is getting the start. So I think it's probably a coin flip between those two. One of them's in MLS and one of them's not playing. So really, and we've seen how Jurgen Klinsmann treats, how he views MLS just by his actions. It doesn't seem like, unless he absolutely has no choice, it doesn't seem like he wants to rely on MLS players. In this camp, he's got a bunch of them because of the season. But when it comes around to the full team,
I think this is Jurgen Klinsmann's nightmare.
Who are we going to see? I don't know.
This squad is Jurgen Klinsmann's nightmare. There's been a U.S. squad or a camp in U.S. for the U.S. national team in January for years now. I think he feels he has to have this camp, and you got to think he hates it 100% because nothing he's shown has said that he trusts the MLS system and the MLS player.
So he's pushing these guys to go outside of the usual, which in the past, the January camp was a game against Scandinavian teams, Sweden, when Sasha gets his hat trick, or was it a hat trick or he scored 2? I can't remember. Whatever it was, it didn't matter at the time because Sasha's still not back in this team. But, it was kind of that. It was at the Home Depot Center. It was kind of, I'm not going to say it was easy. I'm sure Bob Bradley ran a tough camp, but it wasn't, it didn't push anybody outside of.
I think it was against the second B team, Swedish team too.
Yeah, I mean, it was always, it's not like Venezuela brought their best to Phoenix.
At all. But even given that no one scored a hat trick, but we barely get 1 goal against Venezuela. And I think the level of play was probably equal to that Sweden team a number of years ago.
Okay, sure.
But so with Jurgen Klinsmann doing 2 games over the course of this camp, a 4-3-2-1 last game, a 4-2-3-1 last game, goes to a 4-4-2 this game. Do you think it was always his intention to do 1 game in each formation to get a good look at how these players play in both, or did the addition of Jermaine Jones kind of make it so he could finally experiment with it? Without Jermaine Jones there, does he really have the 2 players to run this bucket formation?
No, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be a classic bucket the way we thought about Bob Bradley's system as a bucket.
Listen, if you didn't want to run a bucket, you put Benny Feilhaber in there for one of those.
No, I agree, but I think Jones can play higher if you ask him to. I mean, it's still going to be rough and tumble defensive midfielder style stuff. It's going to be destroyer type play, but he can make a pass and he can link up and do a better job of that than and I think Michael Bradley's capable of that, by the way. But it's also where you set them out and where what you want them to do. I don't know that Klinsman's going to ask Jermaine Jones to do the same thing that Bob Bradley used to ask his defensive midfielders to do. That's what I'm saying. So and in terms of whether or not he meant to do this or plan this out, how am I supposed to know the answer to that question?
Well, it's just interesting that you got 2 games and you play each one against, I don't know, a similar competition. I would say Panama's better than the Venezuela team that came up. Okay. But 2 different formations, and it kind of goes with what we saw over the last 2 games that he had with his national team, the Europe stint, where against France, he played 1 striker up top. Right. Against Slovenia, it goes to a 4-4-2. Right. Same kind of rotation here. I don't know if maybe he wants to see.
There is a pattern in there. There's some kind of pattern working out. Whether or not that is a circumstantial coincidence or it's literally actually what he has written down.
Over the course of 3 games now, I think the 4-4-2 has 3 goals to the 4-5-1 having 0 goals.
This is what we're reduced to. We're chalking up points for formations. This is what we've been reduced to.
He either needs to pick one and stick with it,
I know,
or he's gonna be questioned.
It's just because there's no competitive games. There's nothing real going on here. So instead of actually talking about are they getting wins, are they, we're talking about okay, the 4-4-2 that has 4 goals to its credit, and the 4-3-2-1 has 3 goals or no goals, and I don't know. I mean, I think this is more about evaluating players than it is systems.
Either. Obviously, it's something that he's testing out as well.
But it's more about evaluating players than it is systems, right? I mean, of course, you're going to have a system for your full squad, and you want the players you're evaluating now to be able to fit into that system. But I don't know. I think we're overvaluing all of that, aren't we? A little bit. I mean, maybe tonight he's just going for a win, or maybe tonight he just happens to want to have 2 forwards so he can get more time seeing what Bunbury can do. I mean, I know they would play differently if it was, a single striker situation. I don't know. I just think we're getting a little too we're getting a little too wrapped up into what formation he's playing in January friendlies. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, then move the conversation along.
No, okay, all right. Well, we've got some emails. Why don't we do those? I mean, I don't know if you have some more insightful stuff to say on the 4-4-2 versus the 4-2-3-1. Please be my guest. I mean, enlighten me. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm just having trouble deciding that one is better than the other with this group of guys.
Don't read the first email because it's all about formations.
Oh, well, let's do it anyway. Actually, that's a perfect segue. How about that? Hey, guys, two-parter here. When the A-team gets together in February, what formation do you see Clinzy going with? Will he stick with the 4-1-2-1-2 that looked great against Slovenia, or will he go back to the 4-2-3-1 or some other 4-5-1 variant? Okay, the 4-1-2-1-2.
Dude, it's geek speak.
Yeah, is that what we're in tonight? Are we in a 4-1-2-1-2? Are we in a 4?
Dude, I have no idea, man. All I know is that I want to call it a 4-4-2 and be done with it.
Okay. I said on the last show, I think he is committed to trying out a 5-man midfield, and he wants to make it stick, but he's not completely locked into it if he doesn't think it's gonna work. I don't know. I just that's what I think is going to happen when he gets the full team together. The Italy friendly is going to be the first time we're going to see what he does with the full team. All of the European guys available. What's going to happen then? That's when we'll have an idea of what he wants to do. I mean, that's what he's talking about. That's what Rob. It's emails from Rob, by the way. That's what he wants to know. What's going to happen in February? Well, I have no earthly clue what's going to happen in February because, as you said, Klinsmann's bounced back and forth already twice in two different sets of games. B question.
I'll tell you this, though. I think you're almost guaranteed to see Michael Bradley, a guy playing in Italy against Italian players all the time in a game against Italy.
I will have a one-man protest if we don't see Michael Bradley in that lineup. Question B from Rob. Also, as a side question, where do you see Jose Francisco Torres, a guy I didn't even have in this list? I didn't even have Jose Francisco Torres in this list. Where do you see his role being with the national team now that he's fit and playing? I mean, maybe he doesn't fit into the classic defensive midfielder list. He's a more of a two-way guy, but I'm just saying there is a loaded midfield depending on how you want to play. He's got, because Jose Francisco Torres is not going to play wide. You're not going to play Stu Holden wide. Well, you could play Stu Holden wide. I think that would be a waste. But you could do that.
And Bob Bradley played Jose Francisco Torres wide. He played him on the left a few times.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't
these
think
guys
he got
tried
the best out of him when he did that.
Right.
But this is the reason why I'd like to see Benny Feilhaber for another 90 minutes or so in this game to see. Like, he looked very comfortable in the system last game. Let's see if it's a one-off kind of thing. I think what we know about Benny Feilhaber for his history of the U.S. national team is I think he plays better with the national team than he does with his club a lot of the times.
Right.
And I think he looked very comfortable last game. I'd like to see another game with him around these same players, see how he and Jermaine Jones and Zuzi can continue to combine. I get that Klinsmann's trying to get another look, but with Jose Francisco Torres coming back, and he's a bit of a question mark in terms of fitness, it's good to know you have Benny Feilhaber there. So I think you'd like to see Benny Feilhaber for some more minutes.
Okay, let's see. We've got a couple more emails quickly before we close up shop for the game. Hi, guys. Always enjoy listening to your show. Felt compelled to write an email to thank you for using the word resilience rather than the fabricated resiliency. It seems that resiliency is used 99% of the time in sports talk, and it pisses me off. Keep up the good work and the good diction, Ethan. I probably shouldn't have read that email, but thanks for the compliment, Ethan. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure we make a lot of other grammar mistakes.
Yes, we
every
do.
Game,
and
every show.
We have terrible verbal crutches and all of those things. And the last one from John. Contrary to popular opinion, I think Klinsmann has been an unmitigated success thus far. With some rare exceptions, I love the way he's managing the player pool. Completely changed the process and philosophy of identifying and selecting players. Moreover, just because he's Klinsmann, he's raised the profile of our team virtually overnight. When we travel abroad to play, much more attention comes our way. As far as the X's and O's, I've seen a lot of good there too. This team is always looking to go forward, and I think the goals will come. Look, we are. It's about
circumstantial.
Well, okay, but we talk about results, and obviously fans want wins, and these games haven't meant anything, so it's okay to say, well, you didn't win, but you made progress. That's still a credit to Klinsmann. Whether it's moving fast enough for people's liking, I don't know. In this case, John, he's okay with it. Other people aren't quite sure. It's going to take the full senior team. I mean, that Italy friendly is going to tell us a lot. Italy's going to be really, really tough, and I don't expect to beat them in Italy, in Genoa, but yeah, you want to see some progress. You want to see if Klinsmann is going with this attacking thing, then attack. I mean, do it, and then show us something. I don't know. just getting frustrated.
I guess I want to say he's completely changed the process and philosophy of identifying and selecting players, and that he loves the way he's managing the pool. But how? How is he? I don't see how it's any different. You
don't know
players that are playing for their club teams, aside from Ricardo Clark, are in the team.
All right, I got to get this in. We are doing a halftime show, so come back and join us at halftime, NASN.TV and /live, and join us after the game as well. We'll have a post-game show. All right, we got to get out of here because the game's about to start, and we don't want to get in the way of the game, right? It's the best soccer show.
That's right.
North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. We will see you at halftime later. Back on the best soccer show. It's the halftime edition. Wednesday night, January, whatever. What is today?
It's U.S. national team night. That's all I know.
And here's the deal. That was one of the worst halves I've seen in a very long time. That was a disaster.
In general, or just the U.S.?
In general, that was a disaster. They're up a goal. They score a goal. Hooray! Whoop-de-doo. They score. Graham Zusi gets a cleanup goal off of. I'm guessing that was a bad touch by Teal Bunbury because every other touch he had in the half was bad, right?
His first touch was severely lacking in that half.
Oh my God! We are live, by the way, as I mentioned. Sorry, I keep doing that. 201-430 best 201-430 is our 2378. Excuse me, is the phone number. We will take calls. I mean, it's going to be depressing.
I agree with Equilung in the chat room. Take Bunbury out. Let Sapong have 45 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
What could be worse?
Well, okay, here's the thing. This is what I said on Twitter at one point. I didn't tweet much in the first half. I was, trying to concentrate on the game. A couple of, if I maximize my ESPN3, I don't really have an eye on Twitter. I tweeted. I said, I'm having trouble picking the worst player for the Americans on the field because there are so many candidates.
No, I had no problem picking the worst player. It was Zach Lloyd.
You think it was Zach Lloyd? Who came out for Heath Pierce? Was Zach Lloyd, did he get injured? What happened there? I don't know.
My eyes were injured.
I kind of hope he was injured because otherwise, what was that about?
Just come on at halftime and just bash all these guys or anything like that.
No, but come on now.
Zach Lloyd had a number of bad touches, a few bad giveaways that led to counterattacks in the back in the final third.
Yeah,
he just did not look good. He wasn't combining well with Breck Shea. Aside from one good overlap that they pulled off together, I don't really remember anything of positive note from Zach Lloyd.
We've got a phone call. Let's see who this is. Area code 706. Who's this?
It's Pedro. How you guys doing?
Hey, Pedro. What's up, man?
Says it all right there.
Great.
You can't be smiling right now. I don't care if it's a 1-goal lead.
No.
I mean, look, we talked about it in the pregame show. These games are not necessarily about results. They're about looking good. There was nothing good.
And that's exactly my point, is because this is probably the longest camp we've had under Klinsmann, and I can't figure out, is it that these players just don't get the system? We can't implement the system. We don't have the talent. I know it's the
Pedro, hold on though. What system?
Yeah, what system?
I don't know. This magical system behind the scenes that we keep
change it from game to game.
No matter what formation Klinsmann plays, a couple of things stay steady, and one of those is pressure on the ball and a high defensive line. And they got bitten by the high defensive line a couple times, and luckily with Nick Raimondo in goal, they didn't concede anything. That's the only reason they're up 1-0 at the half. The only decent attack they had, there were actually, I can pick out two. The cross, which was that was Lloyd's cross. The one thing Lloyd did in the first half was Lloyd's cross, which Teal Bunbury. If you want to
I'm gonna give Teal Bunbury a little bit of credit here. I think he was trying to do a back heel there.
No.
But he wasn't trying to do it off both feet.
Okay, well, I don't know that I can let you do that. I think it was a bad touch. Whatever. It's eye of the beholder on that. Graham Zusi's in the right place. Fine, fantastic, great. The only other thing I can remember is Jermaine Jones leading a break. And look, I don't want.
But it died. That break died.
Of course it did.
To Bunbury.
Of course it did. It's Jermaine Jones leading a break. What do you think is going to happen? This is. I'm pulling my hair out. I am. I know I shouldn't let it bother me that much, but I'm distraught right now because I just can't. Like I said,
do I have to be the voice of reason here?
Yes,
up 1-0 away.
Sure.
In Central America.
Yeah.
If this is World Cup qualifying, these are the type of games and type of results you have to grind out. Isn't this an example and practice for World Cup qualifying?
But J-Rod, it's the inconsistency. That's what gets me.
No, there's nothing. Neither forward can hold the ball. Partly because of Bunbury's touch, and partly because I'm not quite sure Wando knows what to do. He finds himself in one good place on a Jermaine Jones 40-yard blast. That's the only thing. I mean, good for Wando being where he was. He probably got, he's unlucky not to have scored. But other than that, I mean, they just they can't even keep the ball long enough to create an actual attack. Can they?
Yeah.
They can't even do that.
No.
Are we not giving enough credit to
ability
Panama
to have solid touches, to make linking passes to the midfield.
No, okay.
It was just a long ball, just hopeful. Let's just throw something up there and hope the defender makes a mistake.
All right, thanks for the call, Pedro. Moving on, we've got another one coming in. This one's from Jonathan. What's up, Jonathan? Jonathan?
Yes.
You're on the air, buddy. What's up?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's mostly all depressing. I have to say, though, as a Sporting KC fan, seeing Zusi finally score that goal was just...
What else has he done, though, Jonathan? What else has anybody done?
He's made a couple of good deep runs, and I think, I don't know if it was on here or somewhere else where someone was talking about how Zusi could play the ball real well and he could put out passes, but he needed to work on making those late runs. And I think at least that showed he has that ability.
Okay.
But, and that's about the only bright point so far.
Okay.
I mean, other than Ramondo's pass between two attackers that were coming at him.
Nick Ramondo and that. Thanks for the call, Jonathan. They're coming in fast and furious. People are not happy right now, Jared. Area code 940, who's this?
It's the Ginge.
Oh, the Ginge is giving us a call. Okay, this is going to get real dark.
There's a black cloud on the
real
fast.
No, look, I won't take a lot of your time. I just want to say real quick that I understand everyone's frustrated. I understand everyone's upset with this, but take a deep breath, guys. It's a BC team.
Who are
These
you?
are the guys you're going to go into qualifying with.
Who are you?
It's not the end of the
Zach
world.
Is the voice of reason?
I mean, yeah, it sucks, but is it that big of a deal, really? I mean,
okay.
The only thing it proved is that we have depth issues.
Yeah, well, okay, we knew that. That is a problem. I agree that we have some depth. Okay, fine. Look, the voice of reason, Zach Woosley calling from the lair somewhere. Again, fast and... Oh, I just missed a call. I hung up on Zach and I missed a call. If you guys didn't get in there, call us back. We'll take it.
Thomas 19064 in the chat room. Bright spot for MLS fans. Gabriel Gomez looking really good for Panama. And that's the new Houston Dynamo signing.
Sure.
No, he's with Dynamo Union. I'm sorry, Philadelphia Union.
Yeah. While you were talking, while we were talking to Pedro, you mentioned, give, or maybe it was Jonathan, I don't know, give Panama some credit. Sure, gives Panama some credit. They are attacking, I think, more than anybody thought. Well, again, they're at home. I don't know. They're not exactly giving us the game we thought we'd get, and maybe that's what's throwing the United States off. I don't know. We got another call, 757. Who's this? Bad connection, perhaps. All right, we're gonna hang up on that one. Look,
can I say one thing though? Nick Ramondo has the best feet of any, I think, U.S. keeper I've ever seen.
Oh,
his footwork
here's
is
my
so
notes.
good because it has to be. He's smaller.
Sure,
he has to be in position. He's so good moving his feet. He closed down space and closed down angles so well.
I do have a few notes. Most of them depressing, I'm sure. But I did notice. Did you notice that Ramondo threw the ball every time? Threw it out every time.
Most time, AJ De La Garza.
So that I'm sure that was a directive from Klinsmann. They weren't going to kick the ball upfield out of the back. It was always going to be a throw. I don't think it's working out that well, but I can understand why they might be working on that. I think we've got this callback 757. Who's this?
Hey, it's Will. Sorry about that.
That's all right. What's up, Will?
Hey, my thing real quick, what does this, give Klinsmann the go-ahead to say, this is why I go overseas, this is why I'm not really going too much with the MLS? What's happening?
I don't know. I mean, I guess if he wanted to use that as justification for calling in Euro-based players, I suppose.
It looks a little floppy to me, it looks really floppy, but when you got the Euro-base, it's a little, at least more contained and maybe a little prettier ball. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like
let's say this though, Will. Okay, there's three European-placed players in the starting lineup: Parkhurst, Ricardo Clark, Jermaine Jones. Were those the best three? They might be the best three field players so far in the first half.
Wait.
I don't know about maybe the best, but I mean, yeah, but
I got to stop you though, because when I put up on Twitter, I said, "Who is the worst?" I can't pick a worst player. They're all bad. I've got Rico Clark all over this. So I mean, don't go saying Rico.
He wasn't as bad as Zach Lloyd.
Okay, I've gotten Zach Lloyd.
Bunbury, Wando. He was better than those.
I've got Bunbury, but I've got a bunch of Clarks. I've got a Breck Shea in here. So and Shea hasn't looked good.
Breck Shea's just invisible. He's not really doing poor things.
It's complete. It's like everybody's playing their own game, and there's no. there's no understanding. They're not even. They can't even find each other on a 10-yard pass. I mean, how hard is that?
This is a game that needs Benny Feilhaber, someone that can calm down the ball, distribute, and bring other people into the attack. It needs Benny Feilhaber.
Yeah.
But what about? But my thing too with the Panama is pretty chippy. They're gonna hit you pretty hard. And does he have the fortitude to not flip out on somebody?
Well, I mean, you could lift Jermaine Jones and put in Benny Feilhaber. Jermaine Jones is on a yellow anyway, which is I think that was a terrible call. I don't think that was a yellow. He got his foot over the ball, but it wasn't really. There was no malicious intent there. He didn't. I don't know. So
definitely wasn't consistent.
That's how ironic this game is. We've got Jermaine Jones on a yellow that he probably doesn't deserve. That's how out of whack with everything, and the whole team's out of whack. The whole team, they can't. I don't know. I'm at a loss here. For you, all right. Let's spin positive. Try anyway in the last couple minutes here before we kick off this second half. Will, who was the best player? Was there anything good you can point out?
The best player.
Besides
Ramondo,
Ramondo.
he kept us in the lead.
Besides Ramondo, is there anybody who did anything? Okay, how about not a complete 45?
Graham Susie didn't pee himself when he got the ball falling to his feet in the sixth.
When he got a chance, he didn't pee himself. And Wando created that opportunity for himself. And
Wando's hustling. He's all over. He's doing well.
All right.
But he's not doing anything when he gets the ball. He can't hold the ball. That's the problem.
No,
he's
I
getting
know.
in good position.
I know, and I think you have to. Both forwards are not doing their jobs, and Twellman was kind of all over both of them in the first half. Rightfully so with Bunbury because of the touch, but even Wondolowski, they're just not figuring out where one should be in relation to the other. So it's not good thus far. Thanks for the call, Will. Anybody else wants to get in, feel free to do so. Best Soccer Show if you're on Skype. That's the.
I will say
the
one
account
thing
name.
that Panama's doing very well, especially earlier in the game, is pressuring that back line, not allowing the U.S. to play it out to feet. They're having to bypass the midfield, just clear the ball out because they're putting such good pressure on the back four.
Area code 732. Who's this?
Hey, this is Neil.
Hey, what's up, Neil?
Oh, not much, guys. How you doing?
Did someone in the background give your own name a shout? I think I heard someone go Neil in the background.
Neil. All right, Neil. Thoughts quickly.
All right. I just wanted to talk about the forwards for the most part. I mean, I think that they both keep trying to drop back. Well, one of them, like Twellman was saying, one needs to drop back while one needs to try to at least make a run in. I think they just keep going in the same directions.
They're going in the same direction. They're basically taking up the same space, or they're giving the same option to the midfield.
Exactly. I mean, they're both running, at least in my opinion, kind of into the same space, so you only have one place to pass it to.
Right.
And then they end up right next to each other, and then they're misplacing these 5-10 yard passes.
I mean,
like
that's the thing.
said.
Even when Bunbury, there was one specific instance, thanks for the call, Neil, where Bunbury showed for the ball, came back for it, close to midfield. I think it was Rico Clark, maybe it was Jermaine Jones, who made a decent pass into his feet. It was pinged, but it was a decent pass into his feet, and it bounces right off of Bunbury. Yeah, it goes right back to Panama.
10, 15 yards the
and
wrong
you're like, what's
way,
going on
nobody
there?
can control it.
Area code 336, who's this?
Yeah, this is Pat.
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
Go ahead. Did you say?
Is pulling up top, or is that Connor Casey?
Wow, you trying to say Connor Casey's got a bad first touch too? Yeah, that's.
But seriously, we need to. I think we've got to see Feilhaber and Sapon right now coming in. I know Clemson hasn't exactly believed in the subs right after them in the 45th minute, but.
Okay, we got a terrible connection there. I heard
I think
subs.
he's saying Feilhaber and Saponi.
Yeah, I heard.
That's what he's saying
I
there.
heard subs. Okay, who's on my bench here, Jared? As we got the last minute or two.
You got Park. You have actually Sean Johnson, which isn't going to help much. You have Benny Feilhaber. You have C.J. Sapong. You had Heath Pierce, who's now in the game. That'd be nice to see what.
Okay,
Heath Pierce
so
can do to
Feilhaber and
the
Sapong
team.
certainly. Feilhaber and Sapong certainly. Who else?
Park.
Okay. Who else?
Outside of that, I'm blanking on who the other sub is.
Okay, well, that's I definitely want to see Feilhaber and Sapong.
There's not a lot of offensive spark on the bench.
Well,
right now.
no. I mean, everybody's out. Everybody's done today. If you can get them, you can't get all 11 out, or 10 because Ramondo doesn't deserve to go anywhere. But the rest of you can't do.
Lorentowicz.
That's the halftime show. I know it was depressing. I apologize. The best soccer show.
1 million miles an hour is what it was.
We're coming back after the game. Okay, hopefully it gets better in the second half. Don't come back. NASN.TV/live. Join us later, guys. All right, here we go. Post-game show, best soccer show, NASN.TV, North American Soccer Network. Jason and Jared, we're here to wrap up your evening, such as it was.
How fast can you work the Skype buttons? Because I have a feeling you're going to get a lot of calls right now.
Look, when people call in on top of each other, I do my best, but we will take each and every person that I can get to. It's 201-430, is that right? 201-430-2378, or Best Soccer Show on Skype. And I have a feeling people are going to have some thoughts. Now, if they want to get in now, do it. But in the meantime, Jared, give me your... we talked at halftime. Give me your thoughts on the second half.
I want to be the guy that tempers us by saying, it shows gumption on the road. You grind it out just like qualifying, but everything else about what I watched was just grating.
You used the word gumption. Yes. Look, a 1-0 win is nothing to sneeze at in Central America. It's just not. But the way that things went, and the 52nd minute red card to Jeff Cameron, which there was a lot of griping on Twitter about that call. I have no problem with it. I mean,
I get it.
It's a foul. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, the referee was not on the camera side of that ball. On the camera side, I can see that it's pretty soft. On the referee side of that play, I kind of get it. I can see where that call comes from.
Right.
What I will say is 2 redeeming factors from Jeff Cameron on that. One bad factor is that he got beat. Second, but there are 2 redeeming factors. He caught up to the player quickly, shows his speed.
Right.
And secondly, did the foul outside the box or chose to make contact outside the box rather than inside the box.
He may have been aware of that, so we'll give him credit for that. I think he did the best he could, and I don't know that that's an avoidable foul unless you're going to just let the guy walk in on your keeper, and he wasn't prepared to do that. Now, who was it that made the mistake that led to the sequence in the first place? Because I didn't catch who that was. Who let that ball get over them?
Yeah, well, I think it was Jeff Cameron. The ball will get played right between Jeff Cameron and Michael Parkhurst to free Blas Perez. I don't know who messed it up in the midfield.
There was a defender who missed that ball. We've got our first call of the post-game show. Area code 706. Who's this?
It's Pedro again.
Oh, it's Pedro again. I should memorize your phone number, Pedro, so we don't have this.
Yeah, I'm probably the only 706 guy there, but we're looking for this kind of B squad to shine. Say, okay, who's got potential to be a first-team call-up, right? That's the whole thing. Temper ourselves, pace ourselves, right?
Yes. If you want to extend it a little further, it's about the system and blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, it's about each individual and whether or not they can contribute to the full team.
Right, looking for depth. But honestly, I have to say my biggest disappointment isn't so much what we did on the field, but I just feel like a lot of guys we had eyes on took some steps back today. And that's kind of a bummer.
I don't disagree. I think you're right. I think a lot of the guys that maybe we were talking about after Venezuela, after tonight, you're kind of like, well, they're back to zero. They're back to maybe you don't say, okay, we're going to penalize them and they're in the negative now, but they're certainly back to zero. Breck Shea, well, okay, maybe he wasn't a star in the Venezuela game, but I'm trying to think. Cameron and Parker certainly didn't show as well as they did against Venezuela. Zach Lloyd was a disaster in his start. I know he was a sub against Venezuela. Who am I missing?
Clark and Jones didn't look all that good. I think Jermaine Jones went forward pretty well a few times, but gave the ball away easily again a few times.
Nobody looked that good.
The biggest winner in all this is Benny Feilhaber because he didn't play.
Well, I will.
Yeah, what's going on there? There must have been some behind-the-scenes stuff, right?
I don't know. I mean, I saw a tweet from somebody down there. I can't remember who it was, who said that he didn't look happy. He was warming up, with the rest of the subs and didn't look happy. I guess he knew he wasn't going in the game. And Brian Strauss tweeted before the game even started that Feilhaber has commented that he and Klinsmann don't see eye to eye all the time. So we've already got some dissension in the ranks there for a guy that most of us think can contribute at least offensively. Question is
one other point I wanted to make, and I don't know if it's just me, but we look tired. And I don't know if that's just because we're getting smoked 2 times a day and adding travel. But I felt like we held on for the lead, but I felt like we were just lacking touch, and sometimes lack of touch is from tiredness. The only benefit was to me, Panama looked out of shape as well. So Blas Perez, it looked like we were wearing like a bulletproof vest under his jersey or something. But he was carrying a little extra weight, I noticed. And I think their lack of fitness actually helped us hold on to that lead because they were looking tired as well.
Yeah, I did think that, oddly enough, the United States looked better and held the ball. Not great. I mean, certainly you don't expect them to boss the game, but they held the ball actually a little bit better down to 10 men, and I don't know if,
without a doubt,
that was something Panama changed. Why would they change? They should be going for the equalizer. They should be pushing. It shouldn't be the United States.
I got a theory on this. The USA didn't have any players that on this team or on this roster, or definitely that got in the game. Maybe Ben Feilhaber you can pull out of this, but they have no game changers on this team. What they have is they had decent game killers. Like Brad Evans, Jeff Laurentowicz. These are players that you can bring into a game and help kill it off with possession, which is what the USA did for the second half. But they didn't have anyone to come on. Thank God the USA was up 1-0 because they had to bring someone on to really change the game. Outside of CJ Sapong, I don't really know what they were going to do.
Okay, true.
Klinsmann? All right, guys, take it easy. Thanks.
All right, bye, Pedro. I think you've got a point there, but under the circumstances, they were the right substitutions to make, right?
Without a doubt.
You bring in CJ Sapong,
but that's why the U.S. looked better in the second half, because you brought in a bunch of possession-based midfielders.
Okay, fine, but you're still down a man after the 52nd. That's still most of the second half with playing with 10 men. They have the advantage. They should be able to hold the ball a little bit better with an extra man to pass to. The United States. And look, I'm not. I was distraught after the first half. I'm still fairly distraught. I guess I'm looking for the silver lining in retrospect, but it's so hard right immediately after the game to try to get a grasp on what it means in the big picture. Does that mean anything in the big picture? I don't know, but they won the game. How excited should I be? Phone call, area code 757. Who's this?
This is Will again.
All right, you guys are all going to be calling back, which is fine. I'm not going to remember you from halftime. So what do you think, Will? What's going on?
Well, I had a question. I don't know what you guys think. Does this help Klinsmann in his argument against playing the two forwards, two strikers?
No,
I know maybe I'm putting too much in with it being the B team and everything, and maybe I'm looking too much into it, but does this help him say, well, this is why, look, it was bad play that we scored a goal early, but it was an ugly game?
I don't think you can put that. I don't think you can take that away from this game because it depends on who you're playing up there, right? It depends. You have Teal Bunbury and Chris Wondolowski. They obviously didn't pair up well. I don't know who fits better with Teal Bunbury or who fits better with Chris Wondolowski, but you've got some combinations to try. I don't know that. I don't know that says necessarily they can't play with two forwards, Jared.
I don't know if that means that either. I do know that a striker still isn't scoring in either system. That's the most disturbing thing for me. You throw another striker in there, you could put two closer to the goal. I do think that we got more guys in the box consistently when we did get forward.
Mm-hmm.
There were a number of balls that got served in that players had the chance to get on the ends of, but I still didn't feel there was much threat. And even when Teal Bunbury did get shots off, I think around the 18-yard box, they were just low rollers that going wide of the goal.
Yeah.
So until you need to have developed strikers that can take a chance. You may only get 2 or 3 chances a game. You got to at least get it on goal, whether the keeper makes a save or not. If you don't get it on goal, you're not even asking him to make an effort.
Right.
It has to be better.
Before he came off, Teal Bunbury at one point, with options, I thought, took a shot from about 25, 30 yards out, which was completely ill-advised. There just was CJ Sapong didn't have a chance to make an impact down a man as they were when he was in the game. So there just wasn't any indication that the forwards were going to step up. All you really had was Chris Wondolowski, or you had Teal Bunbury with the miss/back heel touch that Zusi scored on, and you had Chris Wondolowski following up a long shot and nearly putting a header in goal. But is that it? I mean, am I missing anything forward-wise?
I can't think of anything else that you're missing. Jermaine Jones from about 40 yards out.
Well, no, I'm saying forwards. I'm talking about the
strikers only.
Yeah,
and then you have Wondolowski's follow-up to that.
Yeah,
and you can't fault for Wondolowski for having that shot saved. First of all, great effort by the keeper. Second of all, he has to have his head up the entire time, looking to see where the ball's going.
Sure.
He doesn't have the luxury of seeing where the keeper's at.
Sure. Beyond. I mean, the forward play. Poor. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say everything's poor and just have that be the assessment. I think we need to be dig a little deeper here. But like Will said, I'm sorry, Pedro said, we the United States just looked tired most of the game. Even to start, it didn't look like they had their legs. I don't know if that's atmosphere, travel, out of season.
But no excuse for someone like Zach Lloyd, who only played a few minutes in the first game, to have poor touches, not look good on the ball. He doesn't have the minutes on those legs that these other players did from the first game. He should look better than that.
We had guys, I'm not going to say out of season is an excuse, because certainly in past January camps, guys have played better than this and not looked as it's a second game versus only one in previous years. But, Breck Shea, I think he's better than that. I think he's a lot better than that, and he was driving me nuts. At one point, I
said it on Twitter. Nothing looked natural about the way Breck Shea was playing. Everything looked forced.
Put the guy in cold storage for now, because he's cooked. He's absolutely cooked. Thanks for the call, Will. Let's move on to area code 925. Who's this?
Hey, this is Twan.
Hey, what's up, Twan?
Hey, I've never been. Oh, sorry.
Turn off whatever's in the background and spit it out, Twan. I mean,
oh yeah, I'm out.
No. All right, go ahead.
First off, was that Sean Johnson?
Yes, in the second half, Sean Johnson. Yeah.
I thought he was with the U23s.
Well, it was a combined camp. He was called into the senior roster.
As was Teal Bunbury. Bunbury was playing with both the two camps were playing together, and then the men's team, full team, got to take who they wanted.
Right, but Sean Johnson was a senior team call-up.
Okay, yes. Then what happened to Bill Hamid? Is he like on Glisten's good terms, or?
I think he's the U23 guy. I mean, I think
he's a keeper that got a look in the first half. They brought three keepers with them. I think Klinsmann did a good job of seeing all three keepers. Right. Bill Hamid has been the backup keeper to Tim Howard for a number of times during the Klinsmann reign so far, and he got a full 90 minutes, more than either of the other two guys. I think you can say that Bill Hamid's probably the number two as of right now for Klinsmann.
I misspoke. What I meant was we had seen Hamid against Venezuela, and this was. I mean, I was actually surprised he pulled Raimondo. I mean, I guess he wanted to get a look at both of those guys because neither, maybe they're on the same level in terms of the depth chart. And like you said, I think Hamid is the second. So I don't think goalkeepers are our issue right now. I'm not saying that we're stacked at goalkeeper like we've been in the past, but I'm not that concerned about the goalkeepers right now. I'm concerned about the depth that we are supposed to be developing in this camp that may or may not have come out of it because of uneven performances.
In which case, is Bunbury coming back at all? Does he have to prove it again in MLS, or what do you have to do?
I think Bunbury's a U23 player. I mean, I don't know. You have guys pushing him. Certainly, the German American kids will push him. But if he scores some goals in MLS, I don't know how he doesn't make. And he's an Akron guy, and Caleb Porter is coaching the U23. I don't want to say that that's a reason he'll be picked. I'm saying Porter knows
it's an opportunity for him to show that he's a different player than what he's shown in these two games. When he's in the middle of an MLS season, when he's getting playing with the U23s, and hopefully in the Olympics, he'll have a number of opportunities to say, Klinsmann, this is the real me. This is the one that the person that I am. Call me back into camp.
Right.
But for right now, he's fallen down the depth chart a bit. You got Josie Altidore. You probably have Edson Buttle ahead of him. Who else am I forgetting in terms of forwards? Dempsey, if you want to play him there, obviously would be ahead of him. But the good thing it's a good thing that Clemson's only playing one striker at a time most of the time because he doesn't have many to choose from.
Well, I mean, you can mix and match, and like you said, maybe Dempsey's a forward if you need him there. I think, I think most people agree that Clint Dempsey is better in a midfield role, but if you don't have any other options, then it's going to be Clint Dempsey. But Teal Bunbury, I don't know. I don't think maybe he wasn't ready to begin with, and he got pushed into it a little too soon. He scores the goal. Who is that against? Why am I spacing on?
Chile.
Was it against Chile? So he scores the goal against Chile. I mean, I'm not saying that he had a fantastic game that night either.
Well, Bunbury and Agudelo showed a budding partnership, and they haven't really got to play together much since then. They'll get their chance on the under-23 team. Once Agudelo's back in the mix, maybe you can have an argument of which one of them is ahead of each other in the pool right now. Agudelo didn't get the show because of the ankle injury during this. So.
Yeah, and Agudelo's got to get minutes with whatever club he's with. Right now, that's New York Red Bulls.
Liverpool, right?
Well, right now it's New York Red Bulls, and until otherwise, we should hope that he goes into the season with a chance to start for the Red Bulls. I mean, I don't know what the situation is with why am I Rogers in New York? If Rogers is there, there's no way that I can't see.
Rogers
a way that
is putting Red Bull's T-shirts on the Henri statue outside the Emirates.
No, that was
with New York.
I think that was a jersey. I don't think that was a T-shirt. But yes, good
that
call.
Was
jersey, whatever.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Twan. Yeah, I think Agadello's got a ways to go. I'm putting the brakes on Agadello pretty hard because, and maybe you put this on Hans Backe and the situation in New York, but if he can't get on the field regularly and get decent minutes for New York, how are you going to justify playing him?
Especially when being a striker is so much about form and so much about confidence. If he's not getting games and if he's not getting play, what good is he getting? How much can you really rely on him, especially as a starting role? It can't be anything but a substitute role otherwise.
Right, absolutely. Now, again, this is a win in a Central American country, which you could never say is completely worthless. And, Panama they kept Panama off the board. Now, Panama had chances. Blas Perez missed a chance in the last 15 or so. That was I don't know what
pretty shocking.
I don't know what that was about. I mean, if you're an FC Dallas fan, are you a little nervous right now? Just completely
that also
missed.
came from a Jeff Park. Pretty much, he bumbled that ball. It should have been a simple head back to Sean Johnson. I'm not sure what he was doing there, but he ends up tangling up with Blas Perez, and I'm not sure what happened there. But yeah, you got to be a little bit nervous. But you said you can't really. You were talking about it's a win in a Central American country. Yeah, it's all that, but at the same time. It doesn't feel like a real big win to me.
Maybe that's, and I don't know. I don't know if that's a sign of maturation of the program or the fan base that I forgot about Kenny Cooper in New York. I did. I completely forgot about that. I don't know if it's a sign of the maturation of the program or the fan base that we're upset about this. I think we would have been upset about this result, and that with that performance, the way that they showed 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, it would have been the same kind of general they won 1-0, but come on, that was ugly.
Can we give it up real quick though that Jeff Larentowicz, for the amount of time he was in this game, I thought he did pretty well.
When did Jeff Larentowicz come on?
He came in the same time as Brad Evans did.
Okay, so we're talking middle of the second half?
20 minutes. He came in before Sapong.
Okay.
Sapong came in with 15 minutes left. So I think he played about 20 minutes of yeoman work, but I thought he settled the game really well, looked good on the ball. Well, and like we said, playing 10 men against 11, he found a good amount of space and a good amount of passing options.
Right, okay, well, here's the thing. I made the comment, and I think, was it last year's January friendly that was ruined by a record? It was 2 years ago. Jimmy Conrad picked up a red card in the first half, and it ruined the friendly in terms of evaluating the players. Do you think that Cameron, a good 45, 52 minutes in,
not at all.
11 on 11.
This did not ruin it whatsoever, because what he got the luxury of simulating was having to protect a lead. Simulating.
It wasn't simulated. It actually happened.
Oh, no. What Klinsmann got the chance to simulate was having to protect a lead in a World Cup qualifying possible country when you're having to play away in a hostile environment and having to figure out how to protect that lead. Okay. And he had to do it in a much harder environment because he had to do it with one less man.
Okay, but
I think you can get a lot from this. It just wasn't what he hoped to get from the game at the start.
Okay, and I saw this. I saw this on Twitter. Franco Panizo said it first. I think the red card. That's how CONCACAF refereeing goes. That's Central America. That's just the way it is. And deal with it now and figure it out. You're going to be facing this. But really, my question is, how many of these guys are going to be facing that? How many? Jermaine Jones, maybe. Who else? Who else is going to be facing that? You're not taking that team back down there. Maybe
Ricardo Clark, to be honest.
Okay, but you're not.
Maybe Benny Feilhaber, who didn't even get in this game.
Okay, but like I'm saying, you're not taking this team back down there. The makeup of this team is so completely different from the team that will need to go to Central America and face the hostile environment and deal with bad refereeing in a qualifier, that I don't know that you can really say this is a good thing from that perspective. If your idea is, okay, let's evaluate our players the way we want to play in a Central American environment, then you need 11 on 11. You don't need to lose a man. Okay, it's always good for a team to learn how to play a man down, but I don't know that the makeup of this team, because there's not going to be a team like this again,
You can say that, but you're thinking that you're only thinking of one World Cup cycle. A lot of these players will have a chance, most likely, in another World Cup cycle from now.
But look at the roster, okay, and look at the ages of these players. Are we talking about? Okay, you got 2 years until the World Cup, right? Or
You've
two and a
got 3
half
or 4
years.
players that are going to be playing on the under 23 team.
Okay, a couple of them, sure. For those guys, I guess that matters. For those guys, the Bunberries and the Sapongs and. Well, he's 24, but Breck Shea. There are a couple of guys, maybe Sean Johnson as a keeper. There are a couple of guys that probably can take something out of it. I guess that's true. I'm just saying that from a team mentality standpoint, it doesn't really fly for me to say.
I think you're misconstruing what the purpose of this camp is. It's not to find a starting 11 for World Cup qualifying.
I know it's not.
It's to build the guys base for 5-6 years from now.
Okay, fine.
And maybe find 1 or 2 gems that you can use immediately.
Okay, I suppose that's true. So you put these guys through the ringer, and the 2 or 3 or 4, if you're lucky, that come out on the other end and end up being full A-team participants at some point in the future will have had this experience. And now they can bank that away, and they won't be cowed by it the next time they face it. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying that, yes, it's a good bit of experience for
I will
them.
buy that. Fine. I will buy that. I
can see it in your face. This is not good for you on video. I can see you're just
No, I'm with you.
I'm kowtowing here right now.
No. I'm with you. There are enough young guys that I will step back from my previous proclamation that it doesn't matter. You're right. There's enough young guys in this team that now will have had this experience. And maybe that serves them well when they have to go to Honduras in 3, 4, or in 2 years or whenever those qualifiers are happening, and then the next cycle after that. I mean, that's far out. You're not really thinking in those terms, but
no, I'll agree. It's big picture, and it's not fun. It doesn't make you feel good at the end of the game. And what makes you feel good would be a 3-0 win and the U.S. looking really good, and then you'd be easy. Everyone takes something positive away from it. I'm saying if you have to take something positive, there are a couple small things you can.
Can we just get one of those? I mean, can we just get one of those? One of those.
It would be nice to have
3-0. They scored some goals in Slovenia.
Bring 1 or 2 of your goals back with you. That's all we need. We need Clint to bring 1 or 2 goals back with him from his club.
Well, and you can say this, okay? January camp is done. That exercise is over. We go through it every single year. We always debate the how much it means. We always debate about which guys are actually going to be playing in this team in any meaningful games, in quote unquote meaningful games. We always talk about that. Now that's over. We can move on now. We can talk about, okay, Dempsey and Donovan on the same field. We can talk about, who is going to be in that central midfield spots, those central midfield spots. Who's going to play left back, right back? We can move on. Where who's our forwards and who's going to score the goals? We can talk about those things in the at the top level now. We don't have to. Let's talk against
big
these
picture
guys.
here for a second, Jason. Let's talk big picture. About 6 to 7 months in on the Klinsmann reign now. Is it at the point yet where we can stop talking about the direction is right or give him more time? Qualifying is sneaking up on us very quickly. There's not a lot of friendlies between now and the time World Cup qualifying starts.
Right.
Is it at the point now where results matter? You need to start seeing the results that you have to get in World Cup qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose. And if that's the case, then you have to give him a star, maybe not a gold star, but you have to give him a star for this
3-game win streak.
For this, for winning Slovenia, Venezuela in this game. I mean, you have to at least credit him for putting that string together, because we're talking about no wins, and then we were talking about no goals, and we got a couple of goals, only 2 in this series. But again, Slovenia, that's a more accurate picture of what the full team's going to look like, or at least it's closer. Yeah. These two are fairly far from what the full team's going to look like. So maybe you don't draw a straight line through, but results. The goal of the purpose is to win the game. You set out to win the game. Sometimes you have other ulterior motives. Your motives are to play the ball nicely around and put together some attack and do this thing and that thing, and maybe they didn't accomplish those. He's going to have to go back to the drawing board.
Well, you and I have both said for a long time, it's a process. You got to give the guys some slack. You got to let this process work its way out. I'm at the point now where I'm ready to rein in the leash a little bit. There's not as much slack to play with now.
All right,
it's getting down and dirty now. We got to start seeing results regularly.
I think that's fine, and I think that's a good way to put a bow on this. Unless we have one more caller, I think we do. Area code 913. Who's this?
Hey, this is Jonathan.
What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, well, my thought too, with the World Cup qualifying coming up, I thought one thing we can take from this, I don't think Panama looked as good as a lot of people thought they would.
Okay.
I was really stunned when they came out in the second half after we went down to 10 men, and they seemed unable to get out of their Plan A counterattacking mode. They kept sitting back really deep, and they weren't hitting us. Blas Perez got only 2 chances, I think, and one was a header that went just wide, and the other was his best Fernando Torres impression.
They weren't completely at full strength, so let's go ahead and say that they were missing Beloy, and that is not their full guns blazing team. I mean, I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make, but they were missing some guys. So this isn't. You can certainly say that Panama didn't look as good as we thought they might, but we should also put that caveat in there because it is important to note that they weren't going all out either. So it's judge both teams on with that fact in mind.
So I got a question for you, Jonathan. The back four, up until the point where Jeff Cameron got sent off the field, are you still feeling good about that back four that was back there?
Yeah, and I think at times we at least were able to put some amount of possession together. I think Lorenowitz did put some good passes, but it seemed like every time we got anything put together, the ball came to Breck's feet, and then he gave it away in the final third, and everything fell apart.
Yeah, Breck was a problem. Thanks for the call, Jonathan. I'm not sure, did he answer your question? I don't think
I'm not sure. He dropped out a little bit right there, but that's okay.
There was a drop out.
Breck Stray's overthinking stuff right now.
No,
man.
I
He
think
just
he's
needs to play loose and free, like his hair.
Yeah, okay. I think that's probably. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if he's not completely fit to play that amount of time. I don't know if his brain's
Dude's
gone
been
out of
eating
his
hot
head.
pockets in the off season, man.
I wanted to put the boat. You said the results matter now, and I think they have mattered for a little while, but results matter.
Yeah, but I think we were willing to overlook a lot of stuff for a while.
Okay, right, true. And now maybe it starts for real. We'll go ahead and throw that out there. February, Italy, full team. It's got to start. I mean, maybe you don't expect to win that game, but you got to start doing something and something better. And we'll put a bow on that because despite the fact that tonight was about USA-Panama and woohoo, you got a victory, we did want to hit on a couple other stories that have happened. And I don't want to wait till Sunday because, first of all, Everton and Fulham, that's Friday. That's going to be on FSC, apparently.
I've actually taken the day off work to watch that game.
That means you're buying into the hype, and that's what I have a problem with.
When have I not?
Okay, that's true. The LD versus Dempsey hype is driving me a little nuts.
The duel in the pool, dude.
The duel in the pool. Let's sneak in one more call. Area code 216. Who's this?
Hey, this is Sean L. Prez 95. How you guys doing?
What's going on, Sean?
Not much. Hey, I just wanted to ask you guys. I don't know if anybody brought this up tonight about the coverage not being on regular TV other than Galavision. I mean, did anybody bring that up at all tonight? I just want to know.
It came up for the Venezuela game because it was the same situation there, and I think people had just kind of moved past it and accepted what it was. It's not good. I mean, this is what happens, I guess, when FSC loses out on a contract with SUM and MLS because those are packaged in that were national team friendlies. You remember,
and they usually got the leftovers too. Like
they
games like
usually
this.
Right. If ESPN passed, FSC would pick it up. In this case, ESPN didn't want to put them on any of their networks, and there was nobody there to pick up the slack. I don't know if NBC Sports will be doing that eventually, and maybe that becomes the home of some of these games. But we're still at a point in this country where C-team friendlies aren't going to get on TV unless there's absolutely nothing else going on.
But Jason, there is a silver lining to this story, and that's that the ESPN3 coverage allowed us to do all this.
That's partly true. So you got that out of the mix. Thanks for the call. All right, we've got about a minute. I just wanted to say the hype is overblown for Donovan versus Dempsey. I'm over the whole debate about who's better. We've already declared.
It's not about that for me anymore. It's about seeing two Americans at their peak playing one of the best leagues in the world up against each other. I'm not going to see that often, so I'm going to buy into the spectacle.
It's a unique thing that's happening. Everybody's pushing it. MLS is pushing it hard, and maybe I don't blame them.
I'm bringing my best Twitter game, dude. I'm bringing my best Twitter game.
I'll be following along because I'll be at work. I'm not taking the day off for Donovan versus Dempsey.
To be honest, my work should give me the day off. It should be a holiday.
Anything else I should note? Have we talked about Tim Ream? The Bolton thing's basically done. I guess we should note that as well. That's going to be interesting. I'm high on Tim Ream. and I think he can recover from his rough year. Bolton's going to be an interesting place to do it. So let's see how much time he gets.
It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch. He's got the tools. Everyone's seen it. It's kind of like we talked about with Zuzi. You see some things that go against which everything else you know about that player. Tim Ream showed great skill his rookie year and was in and out the second year. Let's hope that he can find it again with Bolton.
All right, everybody, please go to iTunes and rate and review us. That helps us out a lot. We are on Roku. We are on NASN.TV, obviously, where you can get the RSS feed if you don't like the iTunes version. Send us email, show@bestsoccershow.com. I'm looking for. Oh yeah, we have a lot of things going on at the network that you guys should definitely check out at the website. This Week in Women's Soccer, the new show that we teased with Jeff Kassouf has started. There's the Mexican Soccer Show, which is already excellent out of the box. So please get on that stuff and take a listen and give them ratings and reviews as well. It helps out the whole network. All right, that's it, right? Are we done? Got anything else,
That's
Jared?
it, man. We're working on some more big things to be announced soon, so you guys stay with us and make sure you give those ratings reviews on iTunes.
Yeah, thanks for dealing with our experimental show, guys. Fantastic.
Give us feedback. Did you like this format? Do you want us to do it again sometime? Give us some feedback.
If there's a game, yeah, we'll see about that. Bye.